Welcome to lesson 11. We are on the home stretch now. This is the second last lesson in module 1. Character awareness and relationships. So we're going to be talking about character types for relationship purposes. There will be the romantic one, intense, passionate one, the faithful one, unfaithful one, unaffectionate one, and also some information about homosexuality, bisexuality, lesbianism. Character awareness is about recognizing traits and abilities through the hands immediately without seeing the lines. Having this knowledge can affect your choices in life, whether personal or for business. You could be a step ahead in new relationships as well as existing ones because you can understand your partner or potential partner much more. What to look for, as usual, any developed mount or finger that suggests more energy in the area that it represents. So once you have learned the meanings of them, you will quickly grasp the idea. The following features are basic ones used to identify these qualities: the mounts, finger length and their setting, the thumb and the phalanges, the fingernails, skin texture and consistency. First, we're going to look at the potential romantic personality. The romantic type of lover is idealistic and sensitive, so the hand shape which would reveal these qualities would be the water or fire hand. Usually it's a combination of both. The fingers will be smooth with long top phalanges and round or pointed fingertips. The more pointed they are, the more passionate they will be. The fingernails tend to be round or oval. The base phalanges on most of the fingers will be thicker, showing the sensuality and a love of indulgence. The mount of Moon and Venus will be relatively the same size, which is springy, well-rounded, but not overdeveloped. So the mount of Venus should be somewhat nice and bouncy, and it should be matched by the mount of Moon, should not be flat. The thumb will be flexible and a reasonable length and size. Flexible, so either it will naturally bend backwards or will very easily bend backwards. The texture of the skin is soft to medium coarseness, so it shouldn't be hard, like leathery. There will often be many fine lines over the palm. That shows a more sensitive person. The heart line will be long and curved, and it should end high on the Jupiter mount, thusly. Or it can go all the way up to the Jupiter finger. The headline will also be curved, sloping down towards the mount of Moon. And that depicts good imagination and someone who is in touch with their feelings. The intense, more passionate one, person with more passion is likely to have the fire or earth hand because they are naturally enthusiastic and energetic. especially on the fire hand. That is a thick palm with the shorter fingers. The skin should feel warm and fairly soft or firm, but not flabby, not soggy or flabby. The mount of Venus will be highly developed, showing a high libido, such as this image. You can see quite a large mount Venus. The thumb will be average to long in length, slightly flexible, and set medium to low on the hand, not sitting high on the hand. The fingers will be rather smooth without protruding knuckles. The fingertips should be rounded or spatulate with oval or round fingernails. The lines on the palms will be long and deeply etched. The heart line will have a curved shape. The more so, the more passion there will be, especially if it's deeply curved towards a Saturn finger. So it should have a really deep curve. A simian line, which is the line across the palm instead of a separate head and heart lines, will also add to intensity, and they can also be quite passionate, especially if with a girdle of Venus. So the girdle of Venus is the line that goes between the middle and index finger and the ring and pinky, and that is common when there is a simian line, which is one line across the palm. The simian line is a little bit tricky. They can be very passionate, but sometimes they can be very cold, so they can switch from one to the other quite quickly. The general signs of the faithful hand. It's fair to say that anyone is capable of being faithful, but someone who's more likely than others tend to be naturally will have a realistic and practical qualities, and found largely on the earth hand. These typical signs of faithfulness do, however, also depict a dedicated and organized worker. So while they may be loyal and devoted, they may not be so romantic. The fingers will be straight and relatively stiff, with some square or spatulate fingertips. They should be set close at the base with little or no gaps between them, especially between the Apollo and Saturn fingers, the middle and ring finger. That shows that they appreciate the security and like to hold on to things. The thumb should be long with a square tip and fingernail. The fingernails in general will be broad and of average length. The fingerprint pattern on the middle finger may well be a whorl, which is a sign of responsibility. The whorl fingerprint pattern starts out like a spiral. That's a separate lesson altogether. The skin tends to be average to coarse. The mount of Venus will be springy and well-rounded, but not overly developed. The lines will be a few, but clear and of average depth. The heart line will have very few branches and end on or under the mount of Jupiter, like in this image. Signs of unfaithfulness. The primary signs that may indicate it or flirtatiousness more than any other will be the fire or water type, because of the extended shape of the palm. But of course, these indicators are a possibility, they're not an inevitability. Someone with unfaithfulness will perhaps be rather selfish and idealistic. So the fingers will be thick at the base and conic or pointed tips with a low set mercury finger. The setting here, you can see the fingers seem even, and then the pinky is set low. And they are thicker fingers at the base, thin at the top. The hand itself, as well as the thumb, will be quite flexible. Shows a flexible, easygoing personality. These kinds of people might get bored easy, so signs of restlessness may be evident, such as a broken girdle of Venus or a simian line. So the girdle of Venus was the line under the fingers, the curved line under the fingers, and the simian line was a straight line across. The mount of Venus, when well developed, is an indicator of a high libido. And the fingerprint patterns will mostly be loops, which is an open-minded nature. People with the loop pattern on the fingertips will have a pattern like this, and there will just be one triad there, and that is the most open-minded, easygoing of the fingernail patterns, but that also they get bored easily. The heart line will be thin and straight with many branches or end under the Saturn finger. The lifeline will probably be short and separated from the headline. So the headline starts at the side and runs across. And if the lifeline is not joined to the headline, it is separated. That gives a very independent and outgoing nature. And if the lifeline is short, that shows restlessness. And the gap between the head and the lifeline, that depicts some recklessness or just impulsiveness. The fingers may appear bent or will have spaces between them at the base. Unlike this one, they're close together. There'll probably be wide spaces between. That shows an open mind with a love of freedom. If the Mercury finger is very bent with a short Saturn finger, it shows their ability to lie. The skin can be soft or medium to coarse. Now, go on to someone who might be unaffectionate. These people may find it difficult to show their feelings. It doesn't mean that they don't know how to love or they don't love you, but instead they may not be able to connect in an emotional or intimate way. The shape associated with this is the air or the earth hand, since they are the practical and the logical types. With the air hand, it may be because they tend to analyze things too much. And the earth hand is because they may not see romance as necessary. The lower half of the palm will be more narrow, and the mount of Venus will be quite flat. In this photo here, you can see there's a relatively well-developed mount of Moon, but the mount of Venus is clearly flat. The fingers will often have visible knuckles, an indicator of somebody analytical. The thumb will be set fairly high and close to the hand, showing less openness. The skin might be cold and slightly rough, or even the complete opposite, be silky and flabby, suggesting a lack of motivation. The fingernails may be square, small, narrow, fan-shaped, or bitten. They may be very pale in color as well. The fingerprints, there could be 1 or 2 arch-shaped fingerprints. The arch-shaped fingerprint has no loop, has no triradius, it's just lines like a rainbow. The type of heart line that shows a lack of emotion is one that is short and straight. Sometimes there will be a branch reaching down to the headline. There may also be a ring of Saturn present. That is a ring formed underneath the middle finger. Okay, we are moving on to some bisexuality and masculinity. This photo here is of a bisexual female. She has a long Apollo finger. She has a double lifeline and a double heart line, sort of like a Simeon line variant. Her Mercury finger leans away from the Apollo finger, naturally showing her sort of a different perspective. She's not a trend follower. She's somewhat eccentric. So, in regarding palmistry, there are some studies that have proven that the finger length to relate to testosterone levels at birth. So masculinity can be evident through the testosterone levels, and that can be evident in the ring finger on the female being longer than the index finger, and not necessarily on both hands. So if the ring finger is longer than the index finger on a man, that is the perfectly normal finger length for a male, showing their masculinity. But on the female, that is when it becomes more masculine for the female. A long ring finger on a female is also a sign of a risk taker or gambler. Continuing on, the finger length ratio of a gay man will be similar to a woman's, and that is the Apollo finger is the same length as the Jupiter finger. Now you don't forget, you can't look at the hand sideways because the muscles stretch the bone. You can't look at the hand laying down, again, the muscles are stretched the wrong way. Must always compare the finger hand lengths upright, fingers looking at the sky. This is for the shape of the hand and for the length of the fingers. The only way to ever get accurate view is to have the hand fully upright. Important. On a lesbian, the finger ratio is comparable to that of a man's. As I said before, the Apollo is slightly longer than the Jupiter, and any of the lines on the palm may be double. That is the end of the lesson. That came quickly after all. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed that, and I look forward to the last lesson very soon. Bye.